everyone, welcome back to nap time. As you can see, today's very special slumber party episode, we have the cutest guest possible, my boyfriend Carter. And so we are ready in pajamas, pigtails, and all to slumber it out with you today. It's gonna be a very calm episode. You can get your drinks, get your pajamas, just chill and listen. We've got a lot of Reddit stories that we're going to be reading today, weighing in with our opinions on them, and just kind of chatting and gabbing, you know? How do you feel about that?
Excited.
Good. This first one that we're starting off with is great. It's spicy. I'm so excited to share it with you. It's from everyone's favorite Reddit subthread, which is, Am I the Asshole? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my brother-in-law to get over himself and to quit holding a 10-year-old grudge? Initial thoughts just based on the title?
I have no idea.
Not a clue?
Mm-mm.
I've read the story, so I can't give my initial thoughts. My brother-in-law, who's married to my sister, is a general contractor. About 10 years ago, my dad and brother were building a deck at my parents' home. They asked my brother-in-law if they could borrow his skid loader, but he said no. They prepared the ground as best they could without the skid loader, but got to the point they couldn't go on without it. They went to my sister's house to ask again, but found out brother-in-law went out of town. They talked my sister into letting them borrow it, so she took them down to his construction lot and they hooked it up to Dad's truck. This next part I'm not so sure of since I don't know much about towing, but from what I was told, Dad's truck wasn't big enough or powerful enough to tow the skid loader on the dump trailer, so he lost control and wrecked. The truck, trailer, and skid loader were totaled. The insurance was barely enough to cover the medical costs and the truck. There was none left over to cover brother-in-law stuff. When he got back to town, he exploded. He threatened to sue, and things just went downhill from there. My parents are not rich, and he wouldn't have gotten anything, so in the end, sister talked him into letting it go. However, from that day on, he wouldn't have anything to do with our family. He doesn't come for birthdays, holidays, nothing at all. Next month is our parents' 50th anniversary, and we're planning a big event gathering to celebrate. We're also chipping in to send our parents on a cruise to Mexico because they've never been out of the country. I spoke to sis about it the other day, and she said she's coming with the kids, but brother-in-law is not coming. I was fine with that, but when we were discussing their portion of the cruise money, I heard him yelling in the background to deduct their portion from the cost of the skid loader and dump trailer. That pissed me off. So after my call with sis, I called brother-in-law and told him to get over himself. I told Dad and bro, made a mistake, but that was 10 years ago, and he needs to let it go. He said he'll let it go when they give him the money he lost. I told him he's an ass for holding on to a grudge and putting money into the way of a family relationship. Sis called me a few minutes ago and said they're not coming and that I was way out of line. We argued for a bit and that's where it stands. I don't think I'm wrong for telling him to let go of the past, but they're not coming to the anniversary party, so now I'm not sure.
I mean, he told them no to borrowing. Can't blame him. It's not a cheap thing.
No, it's not. I mean, no matter how much time has passed, you can't just expect someone to forgive. Like, you crossed a boundary, essentially stole from him, destroyed his extensive property, and then we're just like, oh well, we don't have the money to fix this?
Yeah.
And then moved on? That's crazy.
Then you expect him to want to help pay for a cruise trip for the people that ruined his expensive items?
Yeah, they owe me money or a new skid loader, but let me help send them on a cruise.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think this guy's the asshole. He has some answers to our questions here. Let's get something straight. My dad and brother are not bad people. They're good people who made a mistake. They couldn't pay back brother-in-law because he wanted almost $70,000. Yeah, skid loaders are expensive. And again, we're not rich. Dad had to buy another truck because he needed it to go to work. Sounds like he had the money. On the other hand, brother-in-law had 3 other sets of skid loaders and dump trailers on his lot that day, so he could take the financial hit while my parents would be homeless. brother-in-law insists are way better off than the rest of us, so while I understand your reasoning of paying brother-in-law back, he doesn't need it. The cruise to Mexico isn't some millionaire trip. The total cost is about $3,000, and it'll take over 20 people to pay for that. Again, we're not rich. We can barely cover $3,000 spread out over 20 people, so there's no way we can pay $70,000. I mean, that's not his fault. It's
Yeah.
not brother-in-law's fault that you guys don't have the money.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, my parents always told me that if I borrow something, I need to be able to pay to replace it in case something happens. Because I remember I went through it back as like a teenager, and I'd be like, you can't borrow that, that's mine. And they said, well, we can pay to replace this, you can't. And I was like, okay, go off. You right. And I just think that's a general rule. One, you have to be allowed to borrow the thing.
Yeah.
First and foremost, and you also shouldn't borrow it unless you can actually pay to fix it.
Yeah.
I understand needing to use a skid loader, but I mean, what were they using it for again? They were building something? They were building a deck at my parents' home. It's not like that was absolutely fucking necessary.
Yeah.
You could have waited on that until brother-in-law came back into town and you could like convince him, or he could use the skid loader and, you know, operate it so that it doesn't get wrecked. There were other ways to go about this. It's not like your parents needed a deck or they were gonna die.
Yeah.
The consensus was asshole, and we got some comments here. You're the asshole. Your family stole more than $50,000 in work equipment from your brother-in-law. They didn't pay him back. By the sounds of it, showed zero remorse, and he should just get over it. You and your family sound massively entitled. Your brother-in-law is smart to cut the lot of you clean off. Not just that, I'm actually surprised insurance paid out anything. In the UK, this would be an at-fault claim, and more likely than not, outside the scope of insurance because they were towed beyond their vehicle limit. Yeah. My parents should be grateful. The parents should be grateful. All he's done is ignore them. I would have sued. Courts, again in the UK, set up payment plans so the relative lack of wealth wouldn't be a major issue. Beyond that, I would have also reported it stolen. To be fair about this, though, the sister shouldn't have let them have it against his wishes. It wasn't her stuff to share. He should be pissed off at her as well. Can't have a successful relationship if you're not on the same page. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. It's not her. I mean, in a sense, it's hers because, you know, what's yours is mine type of thing when you get married.
Yeah.
But then also, it sounds like for his work. So that's, unless she's a major part of the work, has nothing to do with it. And depending on what insurance looks like, he could claim it as, like, theft. Because she didn't have the authorization to, like, lend that shit out. Crazy. It's another Am I the Asshole? This one's only from 14 hours ago. So it's pretty recent, and I was reading it last night. It's under the advice needed portion of Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for refusing to wear pants and long sleeve shirts to pick up my son? Okay. 6 weeks ago, my wife, 36, and I, 38, moved across the country with our son, 5, to live in my late grandma's old house that we inherited. We're from Seattle and moved to a town in Texas, and honestly, my wife and I fucking hate living here. But it's financially better for us for the time being, plus honestly, I am attached to my grandma's house. I have a lot of tattoos, long hair, and just a general look that really isn't common here, but was totally normal in Seattle. I've gotten a lot of looks and some shit from the people here, which I don't really give a fuck about, but suffice it to say, my appearance doesn't fit in. So far, my wife had been the one picking our son up and dropping him off at school/daycare because my work schedule was all messed up, but I've settled into the same hours she works, so now we're picking our son up and dropping him off together. I met our son's teacher, who's in her late 20s, earlier today. I could just tell she was uncomfortable with my appearance from the jump. My wife and I talked to her for a bit about how our son was adjusting to the new school. After talking about that for a bit, his teacher asked me to cover up my tattoos, which would basically require covering up all of my skin below the neck. When I came to pick him up and drop him off, because it was off-putting and apparently tattoos are against the school dress code. I said no. I was clothed, tank top and shorts, and I'm not a student, so I said I wasn't under their dress code. Besides, none of my tattoos that are visible when enclosed to any degree can be considered offensive unless you find the very idea of tattoos offensive. She insisted, which irritated me and my wife, and basically we just told her that I wasn't going to change how I dress and wasn't going to stop picking up my kid, so she and anyone else who had a problem would have to just deal with it. My wife and I think this is totally fucking ridiculous, but my mom, whom I called earlier today, said I should just go with it and that I'm being a pain in the ass.
No. You can't just like tell somebody to cover a grown person to cover up their tattoos just because you don't like them.
Yeah. It's not really. I don't know. I feel like if they were attending an event at the school or going to like a PTA meeting or something like that, I could kind of see having a dress code then. But if they're just picking up their fucking kid,
Yeah.
I already think the pickup procedure for kids is like ridiculous. It's good for safety, but it also takes so goddamn long.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. Here's some of the top comments. As an educator in Texas, this is ridiculous. That said, some schools have weird dress code rules for parents, like no pajamas, no house shoes, no curlers, but requiring long pants and sleeves. I would address this with her admin and the superintendent if necessary, because she is way out of line.
Yeah.
My thing, especially if it's like you need to cover up your tattoos and he has the amount that he is saying that he has, you know, to cover up everything in Texas, that you're gonna get a heat stroke. Especially if like picking up your kid takes as long there as it does where I've seen it. Like you're gonna be sitting in a hot car for at least an hour in pants and a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
That's miserable. How would they even enforce that?
Yeah.
Like they don't let you see your child until you come back wearing something appropriate. There's no real way to enforce this, and they also aren't legally allowed to. You're a grown adult.
Yeah.
Unenforceable. Let's see if there's an update.
Crazy people's opinions on tattoos, especially nowadays. Still.
Yeah,
His name is Tattooed Family.
Yeah, it's a burner account. This one was posted 2 days ago. Also an Am I the Asshole? Because these are my favorite to read through. Am I the asshole for refusing to drive my brother to his own wedding after he told his fiance I'm too unstable to be a bridesmaid?
Okay.
Initial thoughts, opinions?
Sounds ridiculous.
Sounds ridiculous. This is posted by Tasty X Cutie. So I, 22F, have been ride or die for my brother Liam, 28 male, and his whole rushed engagement to Charlotte, 26 female. I helped pick out the ring, listened to him freak out over every dumb little detail, even sat through Charlotte's meltdown over napkin colors, like I've been in it. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid, had the dress, the shoes, was in the group chat with all the Pinterest links and bride vibes spam. Then out of nowhere last week, Charlotte calls me crying and says I'm out of the wedding party. I'm like, what? Why? She gets all awkward and drops the bomb. Liam said you've got too much mental health stuff going on and he's worried you'll cause drama. For context, yeah, I had a rough year. Breakup, therapy, got diagnosed with anxiety and depression, but I've been doing the work. I've never flipped out at family stuff, never made anything about me. I've been chill. So I just stayed quiet. I didn't want to start something. Then yesterday, Liam hits me up all casual like, hey, best man sick, can you drive me to the venue? I texted back, nah, I'm too unstable to drive, wouldn't want to cause a scene. Now everyone's calling me petty. Mom says I'm being immature and should be the bigger person for his big day. The whole family group chat is basically guilt tripping me, but like, why is it always me who's supposed to eat the disrespect and still show up with a smile?
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I feel like there's a lot to this story that we're not seeing.
Yeah. I wish there was more context.
I need more. Why is Charlotte the one? Why is she calling you crying over it?
Yeah.
Like that to me is reading that her and Liam are having a fight over this and and something she called her crying, but maybe Charlotte didn't want her in the wedding and she's using this as cover. Maybe Liam doesn't even know that she was kicked out of the wedding.
Maybe. Or maybe her and Charlotte are just close.
Maybe her and Charlotte are just close. There's no update on this. And there hasn't been like an official ruling, but from what I can see, it's majority, like, not the asshole. Imagine the thought process of being like, she's had a really tough year. Let's exclude her from this really special once in a lifetime day. This is so hurtful. I'm sorry they did this to you. You're handling it with grace and maintaining firm boundaries. How would you feel showing them this thread? Because your parents are also being massive assholes by doing or saying nothing to have your back. I wonder if there's something more going on. Either way, these people seem pretty self-centered. That's so shit.
Yeah.
I mean, she is right or die, and maybe she's just angry, but there's also, like, a lot of her verbiage here in the beginning. I helped pick out the ring, listen to him freak out over every dumb little detail, sat through Charlotte's meltdown over napkin colors. I don't know, maybe she's just talking like that because she's angry right now, but if she was like that in the group chat, like, saying, you know, using verbiage like that, I would kind of understand kicking her out a little bit. Maybe not out of the whole wedding party, but having her a little bit less involved, because, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people that have planned their wedding that don't go a little cuckoo banana balls. It's a lot of little details that you have to plan.
Yeah.
Lucky for you, I planned my wedding when I was 16.
Your perfect day.
I think my perfect day would include no people. Just me, you, and Mittens on a beach, drinking pina coladas, reading books. No one else is around. Doesn't that sound nice?
Mm-hmm.
It's quiet. You can hear the birds, the waves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it starts raining. That'd be beautiful. That'd be my perfect day. This last one that I have is a really long one, and I do believe it also has an update. I found it in Best of Redditor updates. Very exciting. It was posted in r/relationships by Paint Content 6734. Help, I 26F think my boyfriend 30M is exaggerating or faking his illness. Saw someone's post yesterday about navigating life with a partner who has fibromyalgia and felt inspired to post here. I'm hoping y'all can give me some solid advice. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 30 male, for a little under 2 years. In the time we've been together, his chronic pain, which isn't connected to any particular known condition as he refuses to go to the doctor, has gotten worse and worse. It's reached a point where he's almost incapable of doing chores or house projects. He's usually too exhausted / in pain to make or agree to plans, and getting him to do anything outside of the house together is like pulling teeth. His objections always revolve around his pain and fatigue. I've never suffered from chronic pain, and thank God, so I'm not one to judge or accuse someone of making it up, since the pain itself is invisible and my boyfriend looks perfectly healthy, but he's now been unemployed for about 4 months, and I'm starting to question things. I'm starting to feel doubtful for a number of reasons, and the main ones are that A, he never turns down his friends' invitations to hang out, even when the activity is something physically intense, like kayaking, hiking, or going to a music festival. B, he's never too tired / in too much pain to have sex. Over time, it's almost made it seem like he's conveniently in an unbearable amount of pain when he has to do something he isn't all that interested in, like chores, and starting to feel hurt that he just doesn't seem to want to hang out with me outside of what we do lazing around the house. Yeah. Sounds like he's weaponizing a fake illness to not be a boyfriend, to not be an adult.
Yeah.
I've never accused him of faking or exaggerating his pain, but I have tried to talk to him about doing more stuff together, and it always circles back to his pain or him accusing me of trying to keep him from spending time with his friends, which I'm not trying to do by any means. I've done a ton of research into autoimmune disorders and other conditions that could be causing this problem, always bringing my findings and suggestions to him, but he just doesn't believe a doctor or any traditional medicine will help him. I'm also bothered because when we go to family outings or parties that we're both invited to, it's rare, but it does happen, he'll talk to anyone who will listen's ear off about how bad his chronic pain is and how frustrating it is to not be able to find a solution. But the thing is, he's not actually looking for a solution. He just smokes weed every day and calls that good enough, while lamenting and complaining that his body is the way that it is. He also refuses to return to work because of his pain. For additional context, he seems to have really extreme muscle spasm/tightness, particularly in his back. I'm happy to support him through hard times, but the fact that he won't work is getting concerning and I feel severely stuck. I'm not interested in supporting him financially on a long-standing basis, but at the moment I partially am by covering some of his expenses. If this post makes me a total asshole for questioning the degree of my boyfriend's chronic pain, so be it. I just need help and answers. So here are my questions. Where do I go from here? Do you think it's possible that my boyfriend is using his pain as a crutch? Should I put some kind of ultimatum in place that will get him medical care and attention? Your advice is appreciated.
I don't think he has pain.
I don't think he has an illness.
No.
If he's going kayaking and hiking and all of this shit, but can't like scrub a dish.
He's in so much pain.
Now, here's the thing with chronic illnesses. A lot of them, like she said, like you look perfectly healthy, but they're invisible.
Yeah.
And that can be hard. And sometimes, you know, people have good days and sometimes they have bad days. So it is entirely possible that his friends catch him on good days or something. But it is not very probable that they only catch him on good days.
Yeah.
And everything else is just bad all the time.
Unless sex is involved.
I wonder if this has happened to her. If she's like, hey, can you like take the trash out or do the dishes or something? And he's like, oh no, I can't, like my back hurts too bad or something. And then like 5 minutes later being like, oh well, what about, you know? I bet he'd jump right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he would.
He would. That's crazy.
He's not sick with anything.
I don't think so. Maybe.
And he could be, so she should be like, hey, either go to the doctor or
Get the fuck out. Because I don't know anyone with chronic pain and like an illness that wouldn't go to the doctor to treat it, because that's, from what I've heard, I thankfully don't have chronic pain. I have feet problems, but not chronic pain. From what I've heard, it's like unbearable pain that you have to live with every day. So you want to go to the doctor to try to figure out how to help it, get rid of it. You know, at minimum, you need to get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's not doing any of that, unless he's like the laziest man in the world, unbelievable. That alone makes it unbelievable to me.
She said they've been together almost 2 years. And
Almost.
he's been unemployed because of the pain for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the pain was a thing the whole relationship or just as of recently.
I'm thinking she says it's gotten worse and worse in the last 2 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm thinking maybe he like pulled his back once or something, you know, like got a little injury, and
He's
she
just milking.
she babied him so much and took care of him so much, which isn't her fault at all. Just, you know, she did a good partner thing and took care of him, that he was like, you know, like in his little head, he was like, oh, I could get away with this. Like, this is nice. I want her to take care of me forever. Yeah. And so he's just been trying to like gradually build it up and up. It's, honestly abuse. This is emotional abuse that he's doing to her.
Yeah.
If this is a real story, which, you know, I don't see why it wouldn't be. But he's making it where she's financially stuck with him because she feels like she has to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
He never does anything for her like a boyfriend should. Doesn't do anything around the house. She's having to take care of him. And when she tries to bring it up, he's like, oh, you just never want me to see my friends. You don't even care about my pain. Yeah, so he's trying to spin it back on her like she's the bad guy, which, I mean, there's two sides to every story. Maybe she's leaving out a lot, but I don't think she is.
No.
Let's read some of the comments. Even if he does have chronic illness, he isn't doing anything to get a diagnosis or treatment, and he's willing to push on for things that benefit him and only him. He's also developed a drug addiction he has no plans of curbing. I am chronically ill, and I'm busting my ass to try to find answers and help because living like this sucks. I do everything in my power to support my partner and care for our home, which sometimes that's not a ton. I always prioritize contributing to my household over kayaking, which even if I could push through to do, would put me down for a week. This man is using and taking advantage of you. Disabled or not, he's also dumped this on you without you consenting to be his financial caretaker. You are not married. There is no in sickness and health here. Leave him. Also, thankfully, they don't have kids.
Yeah, that's good.
So she could leave him. Now, depending on where they are, there is like common law marriage and everything, but
they haven't been together that long.
yeah, and most of the time, that's not really enforced.
It's like an 8-year thing.
Is it an 8-year thing? I thought it was 3.
No, it's like 8.
He's taking advantage of you. If he refuses to go to the doctor, he's making his pain, real or not, your problem. He's figured out that if he complains at the right times, he gets to do whatever he wants because you will comply. Your boyfriend sucks. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's just using her.
Yeah, he's just trying to milk as much of this as he can.
Yeah, it sounds like she's kind of a
as
pushover.
Much as she'll let him get away with.
And a lot is what it sounds like.
And then she like tries to be on him about it, and he's like, "Oh, you just don't want me to be with my friends," and she backs off instead of pushing more.
Right. A lot of people, because I also struggle with this, especially, I don't know her background or anything, she didn't mention this, but if you've been in an abusive relationship before, especially if it's emotional more than physical, it can be a little hard in your head to like wrap around that it was abuse, and they use a lot of phrasing like that, like, oh, you're trying to control me, you're trying to manipulate me, you're being abusive, you know, you won't let me do XYZ, and it makes you feel like a bad person, so you like take a step back and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to do that, you know, because good people don't want to be abusive. So I think that's what he's doing to her, is making her feel like a controlling, shitty partner, so that she just kind of lets him do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, that's what he's hoping for.
Okay. We have an update. Thank you to everyone who responded to my post and was so compassionate and kind. This was posted 8 days ago, so we don't know. It was incredible to hear from so many people who actively battle chronic pain and illness, and those with loved ones who do. I hope to continue deepening my empathy towards anyone who is struggling with an invisible illness. On to my update. Armed with some fresh perspectives and some fresh frustrations, I talked to my boyfriend and told him that he needs to see a doctor, or I will no longer be able to support him financially and stand by while he remains unemployed and unmotivated to get the help he needs. I also addressed the idea of managing/balancing his energy levels differently so that we're able to share household responsibilities more effectively, spend quality time together, and keep him doing the things he loves with his friends. His response was really bad. He told me that if I'm not willing to step up and clean around the house, something I'm already doing, then there's no use living together, and that my efforts to clean are the bare minimum and not good enough for his standards anyway. He was also mad that I haven't taken initiative to take care of yard projects and car repairs. He sat there and spouted off a whole list of things I'm not noticing and cleaning, and once again, he was focused on the idea that I don't like his friends / am jealous of them and want him spending less time with them, which isn't true at all. This really stung. He basically brushed over everything I said and focused on my perceived faults. This told me everything I needed to know, and I told him I was leaving. He was just mad. Not sad or hurt at all. I'm still crying excessively over his whole reaction. I still don't know how real or unreal his chronic pain is, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Thank you again, everyone, for your support and kindness. I'm truly at a loss. He just wanted a fucking maid.
Yeah.
He wanted a butler to do everything around the house for him.
She gave him something he didn't like to fix what the fuck. Try to fix all of that bullshit. And he's just like, oh, well, you don't do this right, and you don't do this enough, and you haven't done this, and that. What? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's an emotionally immature person right there. If you come to him with a problem and you're like, hey, this is the problem that I'm having on our relationship, and the only thing he can think to come back with is, well, this is what you're doing wrong in the relationship, instead of actually addressing what you said to him, he's probably not emotionally mature. This man sounds just incredibly fucking selfish. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, a lot of times men do that, or, you know, whoever is doing that do that because they feel defensive. They feel embarrassed, you know? We don't like to feel called out as people of, like, doing anything wrong. Especially, like, me. I'm a perfectionist. I get crazy if I think I did something wrong. But he just sounds manipulative and entitled. I'm really glad that she stuck to, hopefully, it's been 8 days, but leaving him.
Yeah.
That's what she needs to do. I mean,
mm-hmm.
who would want to be with someone that just sits around, doesn't do anything around the house, doesn't take you out, only has sex when they want to, smokes weed every fucking day, hangs out with his friends but doesn't hang out, like, that's not a good boyfriend. That's not a good partner in any way, shape, or form.
And she even tried to be like, hey, we can balance out what you're doing so you can help around more and spend more time with me too. And he's just like, no.
And still have time for friends.
Yeah. And he's just like, oh, well, you are jealous of my friends.
Well, you need to go fix the carburetor. What the fuck are you even talking about right now? Really?
Yeah. They haven't been a thing for a while.
Okay. I only like old cars. Okay. You just know that they don't exist anymore. This just in, carburetors don't exist anymore. I'm gonna look up what is a carburetor. Is that how you spell it? A carburetor is a device that mixes air and fuel in the correct ratio to create a combustible mixture for an internal combustion engine, and it's a crucial part of older gasoline engines. While modern cars largely use fuel injection, some older vehicles, motorcycles, and small engines like lawnmowers and generators still use carburetors.
Yeah, this is not really a thing in cars anymore.
That's a carburetor. Mm-hmm. Anyways, the joke still lands. We don't gotta nitpick. What? Maybe he has an old 80s car. Maybe. Listen to me. He will wait a week or 2 or 4, but he will try to come back to you. You did everything for him. No one else is going to do that. While taking on all the financial burdens, yeah, he's toast. He was absolutely faking it. You don't need to think twice about it. Update us when he comes crawling back or once his parents are done with him. Good for you. I remember this from the other day, and I was so upset that you did all that for so long. You're going to be so much better off in life, and I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of friends with chronic illness, and
chronic illness doesn't just work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't just like ebb away when you really want to do something.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for not accepting a dozen roses from my husband after my surgery? I had to have a lumpectomy on one of my breasts due to cancer. It depends. There's like a lumpectomy or like a mastectomy. That's when they like take the whole boob off. Like a double mastectomy is both boobs. My husband took me to the hospital for the procedure and left to go run errands. I had never had this procedure done before, and finding out I had cancer was a very scary thing, obviously. He said he'd be right back while they were prepping me for surgery. Once I was ready and waiting to go into surgery, the nurse asked if I wanted my husband to come sit with me until it was time to go. I said yes, but she came back and said she couldn't find him. I sat in the room by myself for an hour, and he still didn't show. I went into surgery without any reassurance from him, no kiss on the cheek with an I love you or everything will be okay. It was such a lonely feeling, and I was wishing that I'd brought my mom with me instead. The procedure was done within an hour, and I was in the recovery room. Once my anesthesia wore off, I was awake and realized my husband still had not returned.
Jeez.
At this point, I was really getting worried. The nurse said he wasn't answering his phone, and she seemed irritated that he wasn't there. The nurse went on to give me my post-surgery directions, which I was only half listening to because I was still kind of out of it, plus with my increasing worry of where the hell my husband was. The nurse comes in after a half hour and says, "Sweetie, we're still trying to call him, but if he doesn't get here soon, you won't be able to leave. There's a big storm coming in, and this wing will be on lockdown until the storm passes." I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. I just wanted to go home. 10 more minutes go by, and he waltzes in with a dozen roses like he was the most thoughtful husband ever. When I asked him where he was, he told me he was at the bar because he was hungry for one of their delicious burgers. I told him that I had been waiting alone throughout the whole ordeal and that he should have been there for me. He said he was sorry and held out the roses. I told him he could take the roses and shove it, and that I was never having him come with me during a medical procedure ever again because he sucked. I was getting part of my breast removed while he had a tasty burger and a beer. What the hell? Tears streamed down my face the entire ride home. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, like, she's going into surgery and he's like, yeah, I was wanting a burger, so I went to the bar.
That's awful.
And then he thought the roses would just make up for it entirely? Like, dude.
He disappeared for hours.
At a bar.
Comes back and is
saying
like,
he had errands to run. What errands are more important than this?
No, none.
None. Unless you have like a kid somewhere that you need to go pick up, none.
Which hopefully you don't have children.
Yeah.
Because God, I can only imagine. There's nothing, I mean, okay. So I've been with a couple people when they go in for surgery, like my parents and stuff. I'll be in there literally until they wheel them out. I'm asking the doctor all the questions. I'm getting all the paperwork together. I will leave while they're under. Like, you know, they tell me the amount of time they'll be out. I'll leave while they're under to go get medication that they need, or like ice packs if they need it. You know, anything that they'll need for their recovery. Food for when they come out, all of that stuff. And then I come back and I sit in the waiting room and I sit there until I'm allowed to come back, so that I'm the first thing that they see when they get wheeled out. Because that's what you do when someone goes into surgery. You are there when they go in, you're there when they come out.
Yeah.
If you leave, it should only be for them.
I mean, at least he brought her flowers, but that doesn't make up for it that he left to go get a burger.
That's...
and a beer.
A Band-Aid on a sinking ship.
It's like, I'm bored and hungry, so I'm going to the bar.
Yeah.
It's stupid. But he left before she even went back.
He, like, he
they
dropped
were in
her
the
off.
waiting room, and he was like, okay, I'm going to go. See ya.
It doesn't even sound like he took her to the waiting room. He took me to the hospital for the procedure and left to go run errands. Like, did bro just drop her off at the front door and skedaddle out of there?
Like, what?
Like, dropping her off at daycare or something? That's scary. She's going in, like she said, to get part of her titty removed because it has cancer in it. And he's just like, anyways, see you later, girl. She's got lots of comments that she's responded to, so I'm going to try to go through all of them with you guys. Oh, Lord. Oh, she's responding a lot to people. This is crazy. Okay. These were guilt flowers. He's incapable of taking care of anyone else because he's a man-child. I should have known better and had my mom come instead. Lesson learned. I don't think that's the lesson you should take away from this.
Yeah.
You don't have a partner capable of taking care of you. Also, who the fuck doesn't answer their phone when they know someone that they care about is in surgery?
Literally.
That's,
couldn't bother to answer it, and they kept trying to call him.
Because he was at the bar eating a burger? What was the burger doing? Sucking you off? You can't answer the fucking phone? There's nothing that you're doing that means that you can't answer the fucking phone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Especially if they kept trying to call him. If it's from the same number, they're
from the
for
hospital? If you got a call, I'm in surgery, you get a call from the hospital, what are you doing?
I don't know what's from the hospital, though.
You answered the phone.
Well, yeah, but he didn't answer, so he wouldn't have known. But if the same number is calling you over and over...
Hospitals usually come up with, like, a caller ID that says, like, you know, Lake County Hospital.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, but still, he's fucking... They're calling for a reason.
Yeah.
They're not calling just to blow up your phone.
No. It's not just for fun.
Yeah.
Not a hee-hee LOL.
For all he knows, somebody could have died. They could have been trying to get a hold of him because somebody died.
Or there was like a complication and they needed him right then.
Yeah.
Oh, she says this was a while ago. She's just writing about it now. She's now cancer-free.
That's good.
Oof. She said he doesn't think, he laughs everything off like it's no big deal. And marriage counseling has already happened, but it doesn't seem like it's doing much of anything. Yeah, he doesn't respect you. It doesn't even sound like he likes you.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're staying is exactly why. He's like, well, I can do whatever the fuck I want to her. She's not going to go anywhere. He said that the reason he didn't answer the phone was because the music in the bar was so loud he couldn't hear it. Oof. None of the nurses laid into him. That's just.
But they probably didn't know where he was. They probably thought maybe he was doing something important and brought back flowers.
There's nothing more important than your partner being in
I know, but still. The nurses could have seen it that way.
She does have kids with him, too.
When I had both children.
When I had both of my children, I made sure my sister was there to be my coach. Husband was there, but I planned in case he needed to run errands.
Yeah.
You should never be with someone that you feel you need to have a in case when something major is happening to you. When I have kids, if the father of my children isn't in that fucking room with me for every second, I don't want to see a phone in sight or like a game or anything. He needs to be in that room holding my hand, doing the breathing with me for every second. I don't care if it takes 4 days for that baby to come out of me, because that is possible, by the way, which is terrifying. If I'm not sleeping, he not sleeping. That's for goddamn sure, right? I do know he wasn't cheating, but my guess is what he was doing more than a beer and a burger. Probably scored some coke is my guess. What?
Why does she have to guess?
What?
Of course, he'd never admit to it. Crazy.
The best thing would have been to never marry him in the first place. We do have 2 kids and they take after me, thank God. He's a selfish man-child who makes me feel like I have 3 children. I'm successfully raising the 2 actual children and failing miserably with him. Why are you with him? You don't like this man. He does not like you. Are you staying together for the children? Because that's a stupid fucking decision. You're just showing your kids that they can, 1, treat people this poorly and get away with it, and 2, be treated this poorly, and that it's acceptable because you have a fucking piece of paper that the government gave you saying that he's tied to you for all eternity. Divorce, babes. Divorce. You don't have the great thing. You don't have to be with him.
Flirting with the bartenders and doing coke in the restroom was my actual guess.
Divorce will be final next month. She's being
twice. I said I'm getting rid of the 3rd cancer. Nice, good for her.
She's divorcing him.
All these comments are from today. This morning.
This is amazing. 9 hours ago. She was doing this at 2 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
Which could be, maybe she's in another country.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds kind of like it.
It will be official next month. Not only have I beaten cancer twice now, I feel like I'm getting rid of a 3rd cancer, him, and I've never been happier to be on my own. It will be finalized next month. Girl, I am so proud of you. This story is from 2010 and was my first cancer procedure. The nurse did tell me that once the storm started, patients were not able to be released. I thought this was odd at the time, but I was more upset that I was going to have to stay longer there if he didn't arrive. But that was their policy at the time. And of course, I wasn't going to be able to leave without a driver anyway, which is always a hospital policy. His phone wasn't off. He just claimed he couldn't hear it because of the loud music in the bar. Stupid reason, but he's really good at excuses. We have been separated for years, and the divorce will soon be final. What he was actually doing at the bar was flirting with the bartenders while having a beer and a burger, and he also scored some coke while there as well. But he couldn't drink more than 1 beer if he had to go pick me up. Hence the coke. Unfortunately, this is just one of many stories I have to tell, and it's one of the more tame stories. Being married to a man you can't trust is not a marriage.
That's a tame story.
Amen, girl. That is not a marriage. That sounds like prison, girl. This last story comes from Best of Redditor Updates. It's actually a story that I saw on Smosh Pit. I love watching their Reddit stories as they talk. Very calming for me. So this is going to be a nice story to end our podcast with. Okay? Are we all ready? Pigtails tightened?
Yeah.
Face mask on?
Yeah.
Cool, let's go. All right. The original post was August 12th of 2024. He also posted to Am I the Asshole and Am I Wrong, but he originally posted to Would I Be the Asshole? The title is, Would I Be the Asshole for Telling My Son to Wear Not His Favorite Jacket Anymore Because It Looks Gay? We're going to save our opinions for the end because we have both heard this story already. I'm a single dad to my son Oliver, who's 10. He's with me most of the time and sees his mom every other weekend. He's an awesome kid, creative, full of energy, and he's got his own sense of style that's pretty unique. He loves bright colors, nail polish, and clothes that some might think are more girly. If I'm honest, I think Oliver might be gay, and I'm totally cool with that. I've always made it clear that whoever he turns out to be, I will support him 100%. Because of how he dresses and acts, Oliver's had a really tough time with other kids. He got bullied so badly at his old school that I ended up pulling him out and homeschooling him. This school wasn't helpful at all, and it was heartbreaking to see him go through that. He struggled to make friends, and it kills me to see him feel so alone. Now he's starting back at school in September, and he's really excited about it. But recently, we were at a cousin's birthday party, and Oliver wore his favorite jacket, which is a bright pink, sparkly one that he loves. Some of the other kids started picking on him, saying he looked gay. I stepped in, got the kids to apologize, but it ruined the day for Oliver. I'm worried about how things will go when he's back at school. I've been thinking about whether I should talk to Oliver about maybe toning it down a bit, especially when he's around new people. Not because I want him to change who he is, but because I hate seeing him get hurt and feel like an outcast. I don't want him to feel like he has to hide who he is, but I also don't want him to be picked on or excluded because of it. But then I feel like a complete arsehole for even thinking about this. I don't want him to think that I'm ashamed of him or that he has to conform to be accepted. I want him to feel free to be himself, but I'm also scared of him being hurt by others who don't get it. So would I be the asshole if I talked to Oliver about maybe being a bit more low-key with his style?
Yeah, it's cute, it's sweet, it's sad.
Yeah.
That's how the world is.
It's a really hard situation to be in because, I mean, it's just so difficult because you want to take care of your kid, right? And you're coming to this line where it's like, how can I best take care of them? Is it supporting them in their individuality, or is it supporting them not getting like hate crimed at school? And you have to try to figure out between the two. It's really difficult. I had a lot of gay friends in all grades. Little did Erica know, she was also a gay friend. And it was really hard kind of seeing them get beat up. Honestly, I think a lot of them became friends with me because, like, especially in elementary school, I was a violent little shithead. And so if anyone would fuck with my friends, I would straight up punch them in the face. And did multiple times, usually for my gay friends. But not everyone has that or can have that. The only reason the school didn't intervene is because they didn't really do shit about nothing ever. That school the specific school that I'm thinking of right now, which is really sad. They just didn't really care about the kids. They were just kind of there to get through the day, and that was it. But I think the best solution is just teaching your kid self-defense and also teaching him that it's great that not everyone's the same. You know, it's good to be your own person, and that there are going to be some people who are terribly insecure in themselves, and that hate is taught at home. So they probably have a little hateful of a home life, and they're going to try to come after you, and you just have to defend yourself, verbally and physically, you know, and just kind of teach him how to protect himself like that.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts?
I pretty much covered it.
Yeah. It's really sad though. Probably, I'm sure, like, having your kid go through that. As a kid, that was told by everyone all the time my whole life that I needed to tone it down with everything about myself. That is more damaging, I'd say, than being bullied. I got bullied by a lot of people for a lot of different things, and nothing has ever stuck more to me than my loved ones telling me that I need to tone it down. I need to be quieter. I need to, you know, just be less, take up less room, you know, dress more normal. That's really what sticks with you, is your loved ones not supporting you.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have some comments here. Don't do it. Kids will still bully him, and all he will remember is that you deterred him from expressing himself. Trust me, the same thing occurred in our house. I was trying to keep him from being bullied, but my child felt as though I didn't accept him and that he needed to pretend he was something he wasn't. Lots of later life therapy. If he's gay, if he's straight, let him be himself and tell him as long as he likes his clothes, that's all that matters. Sincerely, the mom of an amazing queer kid. That's cute. I'm glad they figured it out together. I get that, but at the same time, it's so heartbreaking seeing the same thing happen to him over and over and over again. Jesus, where do you live? Most kids don't care about this kind of thing these days. I live in the West Midlands of England. I honestly don't think your point about most kids not caring is at all accurate. I see it every day. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's where you are. Like, I was in a pretty liberal state growing up, and I still saw it pretty frequently in kids.
Yeah.
But also, I was a kid, like, 15 years ago. So, do not dull his shine because some other people don't understand him. I understand it may be coming from a place of protection, but it needs to be addressed with the potential aggressors, not with forcing your son to change who it is. Update 1, September 7th, 2024, almost 1 month later. Hey all, it's been about 26 days since my original post, and I thought I'd give an update. Oh goodness. Now that Oliver has had his first week back at school, I can happily say that so far things are going much better than I'd hoped. Over the summer, Oliver and I had a really important heart-to-heart. I sat him down and told him just how incredibly proud I am of the person he's becoming. I made sure he knew that there's absolutely nothing he could ever do that would change the way I see him or make me love him any less. Honestly, it was a bit emotional, and I even got a little bit choked up. I told him that if wearing his favorite jacket, the one that's caused some hurt before, made him happy, I'd stand behind him 100%. But I also wanted to make sure he was prepared. I explained that while I'll always be there for him, I can't always be around him to protect him, and he might have to stand up for himself if kids make fun of him. I made it clear that this doesn't mean he should change anything about who he is, but that he needs to be ready to handle it if anyone says anything cruel. Oliver understood, and we spent the summer coming up with some playful comebacks together. He really wanted to take the jacket with him to school, so we made it a bit of a project, imagining the kind of things kids might say and crafting witty replies that he could fire back with. It was actually pretty fun, and I think it helped him feel more confident about it. Now back to school. His new teacher knows all about his past struggles with bullying, and she's been amazing. She's keeping a close eye on things and making sure he feels safe and comfortable. It's made such a difference already, and Oliver's first week couldn't have gone better. He's even made a friend, a boy named Sam, and they've really hit it off. They're planning to meet up tomorrow at the Wacky Warehouse, and Oliver can't stop talking about it. It's been a long time since I've seen him excited about spending time with someone his age. I know it's still early days, but seeing him come home happy and smiling each day has been such a relief. Thanks to everyone who gave advice and encouragement on my original post, I really took a lot of it to heart, and I think it made a big difference in how I approached all of this.
That's cute.
I love that. I love when people ask for advice and then actually follow the advice that they're given. So many people like ask for advice, but what they really want to hear is you're doing everything right, you know? So I'm glad that he took the advice and he worked on it, and seems like he's got a really special relationship with his son, which I think is important. I mean, your whole life, I really believe, is determined by the kind of parents that you have and how supportive and loving and great they are. And yeah, I think this kid is extremely lucky to have a dad that's this loving and supportive and cares about him this much.
Yeah.
Truly. Update post 2, September 9th, 2024, so it was 2 days later. Hey. I just wanted to hop on and give a small update about Oliver's playdate over the weekend. Firstly, when Oliver was getting ready, he wanted to wear all his flamboyant clothes. He asked me if I thought it was a good idea. His friend had seen him in his jacket, but he was a little worried how he would react to the full Oliver. I told him to wear whatever he wanted, and if this is a friend that was worth being friends with, they would accept him for exactly how he is, and this made Oliver smile. He wore his full Oliver outfit. When we were walking in, I could feel him getting a bit nervous. He was bullied so much in his last school for how he was, so I understood why. I held his hand tight and gave it 2 squeezes, which means I love you, something I learned to teach him from Reddit, actually. The friend's dad was with him, and he looked at Oliver and gave a little curious look, but apart from that, it was fine. The boy said he loved Oliver's clothes. They spent about 4 hours playing, and we ended up eating together. On the way home, I told Oliver how proud I am of the little man he is. I'm so proud of how he's so willing to be himself and so brave to continue despite any backlash he gets. I love him so much. This is my final update on this account. I don't know if I'll ever show you these posts, Oliver. Maybe in a few years when you're older so we can laugh at how worried I was about you. Your dad is so proud of you. I think you are the most amazing person in the whole world, even when you drive me absolutely nuts. I'm so lucky to get to be your father. I'm so lucky you're in my life. I love you. So cute.
It's very sweet.
So unused to loving, supportive parents like that.
Mm-hmm.
So sweet. And I think the perfect post to end today's podcast with, the day that we're currently filming this on is actually Trans Visibility Day. So happy Trans Visibility Day, everybody. It will be getting posted the day before this little chicken's birthday. As you guys know, we're throwing him a birthday party. It is Super Mario themed. And he's got a super cool birthday present that he knows nothing about, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, be nice to everyone and show up for them. If you are a parent, make sure that you are showing up for your kids. You should be their first and last, loudest, biggest supporter, so that if they're in a room and no one is clapping, they don't even notice because you're clapping the loudest. That should be the case. Be safe out there. Be full of love. Take care of yourselves. You got any final closing statements?
Just have a good week.
Have a good week. Bye. Happy early birthday. Thanks for joining Nap Time.